Sir from 17 once again. This is my Crysis 3 Super Soldier difficulty video walkthrough. This is the second section to Only Human. And there's the checkpoint after we've disabled the AAA. That's what we were apparently coming here to do. And now everybody knows we're here, so we're going to get the hell out of Dodge. But you'll notice the honeycombing on the screen. It's quite subtle, but it is there. That means that we have really good armor when the screen is all, you know, spazzing out and going blue and crazy and staticky. But we don't have that anymore because it's ran out. And that is a mechanic that I can't quite remember being in the second game. I think something similar to it was in the second game, but in the third game, it turns up in specific moments, and it never really explains it too much. But all you need to know is when you pick it up, you have a brief period of essentially invulnerability and a fantastic opportunity to deal some damage with Seth weapons, because Seth weapons use energy, and you have unlimited energy in those moments. And a couple of boss fights coming up later on. You want to utilise those as best you can. Find where those packs are, and then, you know, as soon as you run out, or as soon as you need some damage dealing capabilities, pick up one of those and just go to town. And it does make the boss fights significantly simple. This bit here can be quite tricky because depending on how many pingers you killed will depend on how many dudes are stopping you from getting to the final area. But a couple of those flame guys knocking around, so put on your electricity arrows and show them the concept of one-hit kill on hardest difficulty with base weapon. And how little sense that makes, which I'm poking fun at it, but I do like it because there are a lot of games that make you feel like a sperm in the hardest difficulty. You literally feel like you couldn't hurt somebody if they gave you, you know, a jet filled with liquid nitrogen, and you could fly it down their throat, freeze them, and then swing an entire army of football players to kick their face off, you know, Demolition Man style. Like, you feel like you couldn't do any damage on some of these harder difficulties. You feel just completely useless, and I don't think it helps the narrative. It doesn't make you feel like a vulnerable human. It just makes you feel like this game's balancing consisted of we'll push some of these modifier bars all the way up to the top and we'll not test them to see if it makes this fun. Which is something that does happen, and it is disappointing. But every so often there is a game where you are still extremely lethal, but so are the enemies. And this game is closer to that, although the enemies aren't quite as lethal as you are. But it does make sense in this series. You are a super soldier wearing a piece of alien technology that is enabling you to do super things. And, you know, as much as I would like this to be the hardest game ever made, and to make this guide completely, you know, mandatory for everybody on the internet to come and have a look at, it isn't. And I don't think it would be a better game if it was. I think what they managed to achieve with the balance of you being very powerful but the enemies being quite lethal too is achieved for the most, as I'm swimming through this water. Check me out. I'm going to take damage in a moment. I can see this. I don't trust the water, but there's a buggy over here, so we can smugglers run our way out of this place. Something's noticed us, so let's bang on that accelerator. And a little tip for people if you haven't picked up on it yet, but messing around with the right analog while you're on the buggy is completely futile and will just do nothing but disorientate you, so don't do it. You know, I'm always trying to look around my surroundings while I'm doing things, and this control scheme just does not allow it. It just means that you can't see where you're driving and you'll get your car stuck on some stupid stuff. You know, it's driving 101 really. Keep your eyes on the damn road. But do be careful when you're in the buggy, because you die so fast. There are moments on this game where you take a beating, and then there are moments where you really don't. And that is one of them where you're going to notice it. If you start getting shot at any kind of reliability by anything while you're in that buggy, you'll be dead. And the checkpointing on this mission's not too bad. That guy saw me, and now he's having trouble mantling, so I just shot him in the face with my firework gun, and he splashed me in the face with some purple stuff. And that's quite the trade. I'm not too sure who won that. That is a Sentinel bot that I just beat up. And health critical, so stay in cover, get that regen back. And the cool thing about this is now that everybody's kind of aware that I'm up here, and you'll notice on the map at the bottom, all the yellow triangles are pointing towards me. I kind of walk over here and get behind everybody and get to the objective while they're all being nosy to see who the intruder is. So it really works, and it wasn't intentional, folks. I just got spotted when I was trying to climb down. And it just goes to show you can drop onto some interesting strategies just by complete accident. I mean, look at this. There's nobody here. They're all too busy saying, you know, where'd that skinny tosser go that just splashed our buddy in the face with his firework gun? And another checkpoint's going to happen after this. And then after this moment, I think we're going to get picked up by a helicopter. But don't quote me on that. That might be coming later. So that's kind of sneaky. They're using the Scorcher turret things. The stationary turrets, and you'll notice it didn't show up on the map. So when I got up the incline, I noticed it and thus pulled out the bow and dealt with it. And then when you hit these, there's going to be another vignette of Prophet getting all Action Man on it, and we're going to get another power boost. But Crysis 1 is such an interesting game, because I played it after I played this one, and you don't play as Prophet on Crysis 1, you watch Prophet. Very similar to how you watched him on Crysis 2, only on Crysis 2 I think he died, or he very nearly died right at the beginning. He kind of shot himself, or he did something, you know, prophetic, and shit happened. But on the first game, he's the leader of your commanding squad, and the Psycho, who's the dude who's talking on this, he's there, looking all, you know, suave, and completely different voice actor. And then there's a couple of other people. And the first game has got such an interesting setup that I liked it a lot, and I didn't think I was gonna, because I wasn't a big fan of Far Cry, guys. I didn't play the original PC one, and everybody says the PC version is the great one, but I played the Far Cry on the Wii, I think it was, where they changed both of them, Far Cry Predator and Instinct, something like that. I didn't like it. You know, there was giant islands and then walking around shooting dudes, and I just didn't enjoy it at all, and it really put me off the big overworld while shit is happening and first-person shooter with objectives inside of it. I didn't really like that premise at all. And Crysis 1 is essentially just that. But Crysis 1, I don't know, it just kind of, it makes it work. And I think it's the powers, and I think it's the story. And the story is far from, you know, gangbusters. It's not going to change your life, but it starts off really endearing. You are a hit squad of soldiers in these special suits going to stop this. I think it's like an uprising on this Korean island to stop this communist threat. And when you get there, things are never as they seem. And your team ends up starting getting killed. And you have no idea what's killing them. And you keep finding these anomalies. And I think, you know, it's the Predator reference. It's what it is. It's this homage to the setup that Predator is that I like so much. This concept of a bunch of badass guys going to a situation where they're going under the pretense of it being something really simple, and it turns out to be something completely different. And as tough and as badass as these people are, they are not, you know, prepared to handle the threat. They're not prepared to handle the situation, and they have to be creative, and casualties are taken, and they somehow overcome. And I love that kind of setup. I think it's a great framework for a game and a film. Oh, this bit here is an impromptu on-the-rails jet shooting game. You don't control it, all you control is the aimer. It's not the easiest thing to orientate yourself with, but it's not too bad. I've never died on it, and I've done it twice now, so that should give you faith that if I can do it without having to restart a checkpoint, so can you. And I assume there was a checkpoint when we got in the plane, so it should be okay from here on out. But that Predator premise, I think, sets up games really well. And I didn't do too much exploring on Crysis 1. I just went to the waypoints, and it generally meant going to these enemy bases and getting yourself into a whole bunch of trouble until a little bit more exposition happened. And, you know, it kept on developing, and I kept on wanting to know what was at the next checkpoint, what the next epiphany was going to be, what the next shitstorm we were going to hit. And there's some really cool moments in that first game. Some really cool moments, and it doesn't have the, you know, the crazy scale of this on a climactic end of the world kind of level. There's doesn't seem to be too many ridiculous on the rail shooting moments or anything like that, and the aliens are quite reserved until the end. But there's so many, I don't know, so many more subtle and simple sections that are infinitely better, because it's not all spectacle. Some of it is just storytelling, exposition, and exploring, and I really liked it. And if you've not checked out Crysis 1, you can get it on Games on Demand or something like that. You can probably get it super cheap for the PC. And it comes with 1,000 achievement points if you're just an achievement whore and you want to play something, and it's a good game. It's a game that I think has aged surprisingly well, and the running on it is really frustrating at first, because when you start sprinting, you go into a super sprint mode that steals your energy. And as much as I loved it at first, I wanted that energy and I didn't want it to do it. I just wanted to be able to run and not steal my energy. But by the end of the game, I was in love with it, because you move about 20 times faster than the standard run. It is so good, and especially when it does the perspective warping, where it shows you that you're going super fast. There's just a simple innocence and fun to that kind of stuff. And there's a fantastic moment later on in the game as well, where you get ambushed by soldiers who have nano suits as well, and they are actively hunting you, and it is terrifying. You know, I've killed giant aliens, I've been in alien hives, and the scariest part of that game was when I was in this kind of oriental cemetery in the middle of this island, and I was being hunted by people with the same capabilities as myself. It was really tense, a really great section, and pretty tough too. And then there's another really fantastic moment where you enter an alien spaceship towards the end of the game, and there's kind of just an adventure moment where you're wandering around this ship, and you have to see it. It's got such an interesting aesthetic. It's cool. And Psycho's swearing his face off right now. And that is the end of the video, guys. So the next one is going to be the boss fight, and chances are that's probably the only video you're really interested in, because the most of these are quite simple. This sequence here is 20 seconds of using this turret to kill Seth. I trust you have the ability to do this moment, because it's really not that bad. But thanks for watching anyhow, and you take care now.